How's everyone doing today? It's your boy JJ Domination, and today we are here with our 5 things to watch for, or 5 questions for the Tennessee Titans at Jacksonville Jaguars Thursday Night Football matchup. You'll see the title. I don't really have to ramble on about it, but basically we have 5 questions heading into this matchup right here. I'm not going to be playing this game. This is going to be the computer taking over, so I'm not going to expose myself too much, but we have 5 questions for this game, and then of course I'm going to be giving my prediction on who I think is going to win, etc., and then I'm going to explain why I picked them to win. But question number 1 about this game: how will Tennessee's offensive line hold up against Jacksonville's pass rush? I know it seems like a very vague question, but you know, it's noted that the left guard position, well, it's Roger Saffold, but at left tackle, of course, they're missing, what's his face, Taylor Lewan for 2 more games. And then at right guard, they are pretty weak at the right guard position. They basically have a journeyman starting at right guard because Nate Davis is not ready to play. But how will they hold up against Jacksonville, who, of course, has Calais Campbell, you have Yannick Ngakoue, rookie Josh Allen, you also have Marcel Darius in the middle, Taven Bryan's, gonna come in and out of the game. So how will Tennessee Titans, how will that offensive line hold up against Jacksonville's pass rush? I don't know. Like, in the past, it seems to be a pretty fun matchup, but without Taylor Lewan there, I feel like Jacksonville would have a slight advantage. But it's a serious question because I feel like you got to protect Mariota. As athletically gifted as he is, you would think he'd be able to handle throwing under pressure and stuff. He kind of has a tendency to fold here and there, so it's going to be an interesting battle up front with Tennessee's offensive line and Jacksonville's defensive line. Question number 2, can Derrick Henry have another big day against Jacksonville? I mean, last time we saw Derrick Henry play this team, he had a 99-yard rushing touchdown, and I think he finished with 243 rushing yards on the entire game. So it's not like he ripped one big-ass run and that was the end of it. Nah, this dude legit had 243 rushing yards. He had himself a hell of a day. Question number 3, though: can Gardner Minshew make plays against Tennessee's defense when it matters the most? And in parentheses, when I wrote down this question, I talked about specifically on third downs and if it gets to a late game situation, kind of like last week against Houston where he had to make a play. And he did, but eventually the team didn't get the 2-point conversion. Wasn't really his fault, though. Leonard Fournette just didn't get in the end zone for the 2-point conversion. But can Gardner Minshew make those plays against Tennessee's defense? Because Houston's defense is pretty good. It's a unit that has new starters, and they're still trying to figure things out. But with Jacksonville, I mean, for the meantime, Jalen Ramsey is still on the team. A trade expected to happen Friday. They want him to play, and then basically they'll look into the trades legitimately Friday. There's already word about Jalen Ramsey. I guess I'll just go ahead and talk about it in this video. So the Oakland Raiders, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Kansas City Chiefs have been the big, teams that are going in for Jalen Ramsey. Philadelphia's been going in for everyone, so it's not really a big surprise to hear them. They tried trading for Khalil Mack last year. They tried trading for Jadeveon Clowney this year. They tried exploring a trade for Melvin Gordon after trading for Jordan Howard. But it is what it is. Now, back to the original subject. Gardner Minshew. I mean, this Tennessee defense, in my opinion, is a top 5 defense. I think I've called them top 3 in the past. Yeah, whatever. Top 3, top 5. Same shit. Tennessee has one of the better scoring defenses. Their third down defense is very good as well. So, will Gardner Minshew in a 3rd and 5 be able to make that play? If it's 3rd and 7, can he hit that big throw that he needs to? And in crunch time, will he be able to make plays against a defense that typically is going to want to tighten up? And that's just one of those things that you have to ask yourself. We'll see. Speaking of Gardner Minshew, let's talk about some of his receiving options. I talked about these guys in Waiver Wire Wednesday for your fantasy teams, but will DJ Chark and Chris Conley continue to play well against Tennessee's secondary? Now, last week, of course, they went up against Houston. They have new starters in the secondary, so I kind of expected them to struggle. But you look at Tennessee, I mean, they have Malcolm Butler, who's still a serviceable veteran. Logan Ryan's actually been playing well this season. And then you look at Adoree Jackson, one of the better, faster slot corners in football. And then, of course, Kevin Byard as your safety over the top, along with... Is Kenny Vaccaro still there? I assume it's Kenny Vaccaro still playing that strong safety position, unless he's hurt. I don't know, but... DJ Chark and Chris Conley have been balling ever since Gardner Minshew has entered the lineup. With Nick Foles, it was D.D. Westbrook and Keelan Cole, but with Gardner Minshew, it's been these taller, faster receivers in DJ Chark and Chris Conley, who Chris Conley I think is 6'3" and DJ Chark 6'4", but they're both very fast receivers. They can fly down the field. They're no Tyreek Hill or John Ross, but they can fly down the field. And I do question whether or not they'll have a big performance against Gardner Minshew, or against Tennessee secondary with Gardner Minshew at quarterback. And then my final question: are we sure Marcus Mariota can outperform Gardner Minshew? And I know for some people that seems like a silly question, right? Like, yeah, Marcus Mariota, he's a fifth-year quarterback, former number 2 overall pick. But Gardner Minshew's a 6th-round rookie. He came from Washington State under the Mike Leach system, the air raid offense or whatever. So they throw the football a ton. And Gardner Minshew is letting it fly out there with this receiving core. Will Marcus Mariota be able to utilize his weapons? Because I'm going to be honest, Gardner Minshew has been playing better football than Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota has better weapons, but yet he's not making it work. He has the better running back, in my opinion. He has the better third down running back in Dion Lewis. I would argue he has the better receiving core. He has the better tight end, and he has the better offensive line. But yet Gardner Minshew is balling with his guys, that he has. He's balling with DJ Chark and Chris Conley and Leonard Fournette, while Marcus Mariota has Derrick Henry, Corey Davis, who is actually pretty good, but you wouldn't know that because he has Marcus Mariota as his quarterback. And then they also have Adam Humphries, who they picked up as a slot receiver. Oh, and they have Delanie Walker at tight end. Did I forget to mention a healthy Delanie Walker? But, Gardner Minshew's playing better with less talent. And the talent that he has is good, but I just feel like Tennessee's talent is better. So it's a legitimate question that you have to ask yourself. Are we sure Mariota can outperform Gardner Minshew? Minshew has come in and he's played well. He surprised a lot of people. He surprised me to a degree. You don't just expect a 6th-round rookie quarterback to step in immediately like this and at least be a good enough game manager. And he's played better than a game manager, in my opinion. I mean, sure, like the yards aren't flashy, the completion percentage, it's more of like a safe approach. But he's taking his shots here and there, he's not terrible. Whereas Mariota won't even take the check down. I don't know how many games I've watched with Tennessee where I see Dion Lewis open in the flat, and I'm like, dude, Dion Lewis could have 10 catches a game if Mariota would just throw the goddamn football. But he just doesn't for some reason. So I don't know. That's a legitimate question we have to ask ourselves. So those are the 5 questions, and now we're going to have a prediction, and I'm going to go ahead and predict that Tennessee wins this football game. I know the way that I was talking, it sounded like I was going to go with Jacksonville, but Tennessee to me is just a better football team. This game can go one of 2 ways. It could be a very low-scoring game between 2 defensive-oriented teams, kind of like what we saw with Jacksonville versus Houston last week, or we're going to see a total not so shootout style of shootout. You know what I'm saying? This game could bizarrely turn into a shootout, or it's going to be a lower scoring defensive game, kind of like what we saw between Jacksonville and Houston. I'm not good at predicting scores. That's why I never predict a score. I'm not even good at predicting teams to win. Last week I went 9-7. That was terrible. The week before I did pretty good, but last week has not been particularly easy, but I will go with Tennessee in this one. They have a pretty easy time beating Jacksonville compared to Indianapolis, which is why it was so easy for me to pick Indianapolis to beat Tennessee last week, because that's just the history of the AFC South in a nutshell. So yeah, that's about it. I'm just going to take Tennessee in a low-scoring game, but I will throw a score out there for fun. I guess I'll have Tennessee win 17-13. I don't know, just for fun. I don't really know what the score would be. I think Tennessee's defense is going to do a good job against Gardner Minshew. They're going to make it tough for him to convert third downs. For Mariota, I think he'll make enough plays. He typically makes a couple of plays against Jacksonville, whether it's him running the football for 87 yards like he did that one year, or, you know, just making a big passing play. Like, he's bound to make a play. And he typically has at least a couple of good performances a year, despite the inconsistency for Marcus Mariota. And Derrick Henry might have himself a big game. So I will go with Tennessee for the win. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, though, and I'll see you next time for the rest of the Week 3 predictions.